Your weekly roundup of HR news and events in Singapore and beyond. This is HRM Weekly. I'm Shalini Shukrapande. Budget 2015 is out, and there's a lot for HR to digest. We begin with the government's commitment towards lifelong learning. The SkillsFuture national movement in Singapore supports the country's next phase of development to become an advanced economy and inclusive society where all Singaporeans will have the opportunity to advance in his or her career regardless of their starting points through skills. SkillsFuture will increase government funding on continual education and training from about $600 million per year over the last 5 years to an average of over $1 billion per year from now to 2020. Part of this increase in expenditure will be met by a $1.5 billion top-up to the National Productivity Fund. The Singapore Budget 2015 has revealed SkillsFuture measures specific to businesses. For instance, each eligible Singaporean will receive an initial credit of $500 in his or her SkillsFuture credit account, which will be topped up at regular intervals and will not expire, but can only be used for education and training courses supported by government agencies. Also, fresh polytechnic and ITE graduates will be placed in apprenticeships and receive a salary while undergoing structured on-the-job training that leads to an industry-recognized qualification. Trainees will get a sign-on incentive of $5,000. Employers will also earn up to $15,000 from the government for each trainee. To uplift the broad base of companies and to help Singaporeans develop their careers across the economy, the government will also invest in new forms of industry collaboration. For instance, to help SMEs overcome the constraints they face in training capabilities and capacity, the government will work with industry partners to develop a shared pool of SkillsFuture mentors with specialized in industry-relevant skills, which SMEs can tap on. Moving on to the CPF scheme. This has been tweaked to provide greater assurance for Singaporeans in retirement. Compensation and Benefits Specialists should note that with effect from January 1, 2016, the CPF salary ceiling will be raised from the present 5,000 to 6,000 Singapore dollars. According to Deputy Prime Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, this means middle-income Singaporeans will be able to accrue more CPF savings during their working lifetime. The rise will benefit about 544,000 CPF members. CPF contribution rates will also be reinstated for employees aged 50 to 55 to the same level as their younger peers. Particularly, the contribution rates for these employees will rise by 2 percentage points in 2016, 1% from the employer and 1% from the employees, bringing the total CPF contribution rate up to 37%. For employees aged 55 to 60, employers' contribution rate will be increased by 1 percentage point for a total contribution rate of 26% and increased 0.5 percentage points for workers aged 60 to 65 for a total contribution rate of 16.5%. The changes will take place from January 1, 2016. HR is still encouraged to re-employ older workers beyond the age of 65. The government will provide employers with an additional Special Employment Credit, or SEC, of up to 3% of wages for workers aged 65 and above in 2015. To further cope with higher wage costs arising from the increase in the CPF employer contribution rate, the Temporary Employment Credit, or TEC, will be raised to 1% of wages in 2015, or an additional 0.5 percentage points on top of the original TEC. The TEC will also be extended by 2 years to help employers adjust to cost increases associated with the increase in CPF salary ceiling and the employer's CPF contribution rates for older workers. Moving to foreign workers, as the net inflow of foreign workers has slowed significantly, the government will defer this year's round of announced levy increases for S-Pass and work permit holders, with the exception of work permit holder levies in the manufacturing and construction sectors. The current work permit holder levy rates for the manufacturing sector for 2015 and 2016 will be frozen at 2014 levels. To encourage firms to hire and retain the more productive, higher skilled R1 workers in the construction sector, the government will make further adjustments. For instance, the basic tier levy for basic skilled R2 workers will be raised from $550 in July 2015 to $650 in July 2016 and $700 in July 2017. For this week's HR Bulletin, catch the glitz, glamour and the prestige of the event dubbed as the Oscars of the HR industry. The HRM Awards 2015 happening on Friday, 6th of March at the Ritz-Carlton with events partner Hayes. We'll be featuring some highlights by next week and you'll get more updates on HRMAwards.com. And finally, think about this. Don't be afraid to give up the good to go for the great. By John D. Rockefeller. And that's HRM Weekly. Get more stories on HRMAsia.com. From Singapore, I'm Shalini Shukla Pandey. Thanks for watching.